Welcome back, fellow Americans. I'm sure that you've heard a lot about the media in the last few years, and terms like media bias, narrative, fact check, and fake news. But did you know that the founders of our nation had a lot to say about the media? Sure, they didn't have televisions, computers, and smartphones back then, but they did have the media. Today, we will hear their words and find out why the media can be either a blessing or a curse. First of all, just how important is the media? James Madison tells us that a popular government without popular information or the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy. A people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power that knowledge gives. He is saying that if we don't know the facts, we could easily support the wrong candidates and the wrong initiatives, resulting in a government that's either a joke or, worse yet, a disaster. Has our government become a joke or a disaster? If so, maybe we are not well informed or perhaps misinformed voters. In any case, George Washington added, "The great mass of our citizens require only to understand matters rightly in order to form right decisions." Surely, it's important to have a media that is truthful so that we are not led astray. We might conclude then that Thomas Jefferson was describing the duty of the media when he said, "Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty." However, he described the true character of the media in this way: "The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers." In that statement, he has just revealed the truth. The media is misleading us, which is a major reason why our government is such a joke. They have manipulated the facts to get us to vote for and support the wrong candidates and the wrong initiatives. We have been led to believe that one political party or the other will solve our problems. Not happening. Oh, but the media is doing much more than misleading us. For those of you who watch a lot of CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or read a lot on social media, how does that make you feel? I think Thomas Jefferson has your answer. He said, "I do not take a single newspaper, nor read one a month, and I feel myself infinitely the happier for it." The media hype doom and gloom, exaggerate almost everything they report on, and end up upsetting us. And it gets much worse. Thomas Jefferson said, "Born in the same land, we ought to live as brothers, and not listen to wicked men who may endeavor to make us enemies." The media is dividing us, turning one American against another. They hyper-focus on divisive stories, such as, "Women's pay is not equal to men's." "Immigrants are being discriminated against because they are being deported." "The majority is against people of color." The police are trying to murder black Americans. Transsexuals' rights are not being upheld because they're not allowed to use women's restrooms or compete in women's sports. Minorities are facing systemic discrimination due to white privilege. Women don't have the right to choose what happens to their bodies. Unborn babies don't have the right to live. And it goes on and on. Division, division, division. The media seems to have forgotten that united we stand, divided we fall. Why are they doing this? One answer is money. The media have discovered that most news is fairly boring. They need to juice it up by reporting on controversy and conflict, adding as much spin as possible to cause an emotional reaction and to draw in more viewers. This reminds me of the old adage, a moth is drawn to flame, because they are trying to get us to absorb their distorted and harmful narratives. Notice, too, that their stories always seem to have a liberal or conservative slant. As it turns out, they have a motive besides money, and that is to serve the political parties to help them gain power and influence. You know, CNN favors the Democrats. Fox News favors the Republicans. George Washington described this when he said, "One of the expedients of party to acquire influence is to misrepresent the opinions and aims of others." So how are we, American patriots, supposed to fight back against the biased media who are like an insidious poison, drawing the very life from our democracy? A media that John Adams summed up by saying, "Abuse of words has been the great instrument of subtle deception and artful trickery, of political party, faction, and division of society." I say, boycott them. Don't watch CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, Newsmax, and the whole lot of them. Cancel your subscription to biased rags such as the New York Times and the New York Post. You will not only be doing a great service to your country, but you will also be much happier for it. It is our duty as Americans to avoid misinformation and to learn as much as possible about the issues and the candidates who ask for our vote. One source of that information is right here on the American Patriots channel. You will only get the facts here. No hype, no misinformation, and no political bias. This is a place where the curtain is pulled back to expose the truth. A topic closely related to the media is our First Amendment right to free speech. You have probably heard of instances where social media has censored speech. They have every right to take down posts that are against the law, such as those that involve slander, defamation of character, or comments that threaten or encourage violence. And they also have a right to suspend those accounts of people making those types of comments. But suppressing posts that present a person's opinion, even if that opinion is controversial or downright objectionable, is a violation of the First Amendment. Censorship is a slippery slope and must be applied with great care. You see, freedom isn't free. In fact, we have to fight to maintain our freedom. You say you want free speech? Then try defending someone who is burning the American flag right in front of you. Try acknowledging someone who steps up to you and shouts at the top of their lungs words that make your blood boil. Try accepting that someone has the right to raise their middle finger to salute you. That's what freedom of speech is all about. It isn't always pretty, and it might offend you, but the alternative is far worse. Benjamin Franklin warns us that in those wretched countries where a man cannot call his tongue his own, he can scarcely call anything his own. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must first begin by subduing the freedom of speech. Some say that social media companies have every right to suppress any content that they choose because they are privately owned. This is pure nonsense and suggests that our court system is showing favoritism towards these companies. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and the like are by their very nature platforms that openly invite any and all public commentary and are publicly owned and traded companies. They are the equivalent of a digital town hall. As a result, they are public forums and by law must not infringe on our right to free speech. From our discussion today, it's clear that the media has misled American people, upset us, divided us, and in some cases, denied our right to free speech. We often rely on the media to gather important information about our country and our leaders. As John Adams proclaimed, liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people who have a right to know the character and conduct of their rulers. The misinformation that the media provides takes away our right to know the truth and is harming our democracy. According to the First Amendment, the media has the right to freedom of the press, to report on anything that they choose, and we must respect that right in a free society. But as citizens of this great country, it is our solemn duty to not trust what we see, hear, or read from the media. We must always seek the truth, and in doing so, maintain our nation on its course to provide freedom, prosperity, and equality for all. And with that, I will leave you with the inspiring words of Thomas Jefferson, who said, "Whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government, that whenever things get so far wrong as to attract their notice, they may be relied on to set them to rights."